Hi guys, I'm here again. I want to ask a question. Have you ever wondered why you and somebody could have the same resolution of cameras? Could be 12, could be 13, could be 48. You both have 48. But when somebody takes a picture, the picture is clearer than yours, or yours is clearer than theirs. With the same amount of RAM, 2 gig, 3 gig, 4 gig RAM. But somebody's phone is going to handle a game, say like PES or PUBG, better than the other person's phone. Have you ever wondered why two people could have the same battery and they could have the same usage pattern, and yet one phone would handle battery better than the other one? Well, there's a part of a phone which, controls the entire phone. Games, apps, camera, everything, which people should be looking at for as the first thing. But unfortunately, a lot of people do not look at this part. This little part is what controls the entire phone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about what is known as the SoC, aka processor. So if you want to know what an SoC is, what it does, and why it's important, let's go. One of the most integral parts of a smartphone, if not the most important, after say, personally for me, I tend to rank them on this scale, but there are three of the most important parts are the SoC, aka processor, the software, and the battery. These three parts are very much needed for a phone to run. But think of the SoC as the brain of the phone. Physically speaking though, an SoC can be defined as an integrated circuit that contains all of the tools needed for a smartphone to function properly. It's that simple. It contains all of the tools needed for a smartphone to function properly. Now, think of the old PCs, the old desktop PCs. The old desktop PCs had like a monitor separate and a CPU separate, right? So on the CPU, you had to add stuff to it. You had to, if you wanted to make a video call, for example, using a desktop, you needed a webcam, right? If you wanted to talk to someone, you needed to plug in a microphone. You had to plug in earphones, because most of the old ones did not really have speakers. You had to plug in a keyboard if you wanted to type. You have to plug in a fingerprint reader. If you want to browse, you have to plug in a modem or an Ethernet router at the back of the device. Smartphones do not need all this plenty peripherals, wires up and down, because if you go to a bank and you check behind their desktops there, you see a massive tangle of wires. But because of the SoC, smartphones do not need so many tangles. Because why? All of the tools needed are on this device. Now, you're part of an SoC, you have what we call processor cores, or aka CPU cores. You've got GPU, you've got a RAM, you've got audio and video processing unit, you have the ISP, you have the DSP, you have radio modems, you have interfaces, etc. So all of these together control your phone. Now, let me explain. The processor cores are basically the main brain of the SoC. They are what handles your app processing, your game processing, how much weight or how much processing load that your phone can carry. So if you have very good processor cores, you can download any app from anywhere, and installing it, using it will be a very smooth experience. Those heavy apps, Instagram, for example, Instagram filters all the way. You want to play high resolution 4K video, no skipping, no such thing. Download any game online, be it Pro Evolution Soccer, PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, heavy video editing apps, Snapseed, Lightroom, all of them, your phone is going to take care of them. It's due to the processor cores. If you have weak processor cores, oh dear, your experience with that phone is going to be bad. First of all, you're going to suffer lag. Your games are going to lag, your apps are going to lag, the phone itself is going to lag. Scroll and the phone gets up to a certain point and it's stuck there, and trying to scroll and scroll and the phone is just barely getting along. You can't install apps because your phone is going to tell you you're unable to install a certain app, or even if you install the app, the experience with the app is going to be so terrible you just get pissed off and you uninstall it yourself. So processor cores help to manage or help to determine the amount of apps or type of games or type of processing load your phone can carry, or how smooth your experience is going to be with those ones. Next up, you've got the GPU. The GPU is known as aka the graphics processing unit, handles all of the graphics that passes through your phone. If you've got bad graphics or a bad GPU, especially for gaming, it's not going to be a very nice experience at all. It's an experience I had when I was using a low-end phone with a weak GPU, and when we're playing PUBG, if those of us who played battle royale games before, would land into the virtual environment on the map. Everybody else, they're moving, they're looking for weapons. My own game would be stuck. No houses would load. The environment would not even load. It would take, you start seeing all the houses starting to render slowly, one by one, before the entire map will now be okay. By then, everybody had already gotten their weapons and they were good to go, and I would be the last one left. And lots of people did not want to play with me because of that. It's not a very good experience with a bad GPU. Next up, you've got audio and video processors. So the amount of type of video, type of audio you get, this part of the SoC handles them all. Then you've got the ISP. The ISP is directly linked to the camera. So whatever pictures you snap with your smartphone camera, they are going to be processed by the ISP. The ISP determines the resolution that the phone can support in terms of camera. So for example, if you're using a Helio P35, the maximum resolution that SoC can support is 25 megapixels. If a company goes and puts 64 megapixels on top, the results are going to be very, very unsavory, because the SoC can only handle pictures of 25 megapixels. So what it does is that even if you put a 64 megapixel camera there, it is going to downscale the 64 to the 25 it can handle and then give us such quality. Now such pictures are going to be badly compressed and they look terrible. In fact, it's an exercise in futility trying to put a big camera with a high resolution on top of a SoC that can only handle a low resolution. After the ISP, you also have what I call DSP. DSP is an AI unit that handles how your camera works. That's if you were to take a picture at a scene and the image is brought into the SoC for processing, the DSP block has an AI that makes the picture look nice and clean and smooth. That's why sometimes you take a picture of an environment and you'll be like, this place, when they look so, now I find like this for this phone. So yeah, that you can thank the DSP for that. The DSP also handles video decoding, videos that you record with your camera. It also handles how they're decoded, recorded and then processed and stored on your device. Another important part we should also look at are, in fact, massively important. We call them the radios, the modems, the network modems. Now for desktops and even laptops, you're going to have to plug a modem in. Your phone, you don't need to have to plug anything in because it's already inbuilt inside the SoC. So the quality of the modem, your radio modem in your SoC, determines how smooth your network connection will be. That's why you see in a place, you see some people are like, I have 4G network and I'm browsing fine. They are loading Facebook and loading Instagram, while in the same area somebody else is struggling to even check WhatsApp status. All of this is down to the radio modems. So the quality of your pictures, the quality of your gaming, the quality of your network, and so much more, even battery consumption, these are all handled by the SoC. So whenever you are getting your next phone, it doesn't really matter if you're a battery person or if you're a camera freak, you should be able to know which SoCs you should buy that should suit your needs. If you are a gamer, for example, you should not be buying a low mid-range or a budget SoC. I'm going to explain all of this in an upcoming video, hopefully, but you should be able to know that the SoCs are very important for the running of your phone, and the type of SoC you buy is going to determine the type of experience that you're going to get with your phone. Usually the low grade SoCs work fine. I mean, they carry out all the tasks needed for a phone, but they won't do any of the heavy fancy stuff. Usually good for, you know, young children and the elderly and those who really do not care about phones. You know, all they have to do is maybe just make calls, read messages, you know, WhatsApp, Twitter, and they're done. But you play big games on your phone and you want to edit photos and all that, you want very clear camera performance, you're not going to have to go and look for those cheap SoCs on those cheap phones that, you know, young children and elderly use. Of course not. You're going to have to set your sights even higher. That's why we're always kicking against companies that you market low-end chips higher than they are supposed to be, you know, trying to deceive the unsuspecting public to go and buy something that is here when it's not even supposed to be, and then people buy the phones and then they end up being disappointed. That's it for this video. At least we now know what SoCs are and why they are important and why you should be looking out for SoCs. That's it from this video. Please remember, like button. If you've not subscribed yet, please, if you like the video, you can subscribe. If you do not like the video, hopefully stick around and let's see what happens next. Maybe the next video will convince you to hit that subscribe button. Well, that's going to be all from me for now. I'll be back. My name is Jeffrey once more. This is Inquisitive Universe.